Welcome to Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson, the podcast where we head down the road of the supernatural and beyond. So sit back and hold on as we take a ride together in what lies in the unknown and beyond the veil. Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson presents guest host, psychotherapist Machiel, Klerk, and now your host, Daniel Jackson, with Harnessing the Wisdom of Your Dreams.
Hello, and welcome to Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson. Me, Daniel Jackson. And today we have Machiel Klerk on our show. And Machiel is a dream guidance specialist, I would say, because what I've seen throughout your bio here, it's pretty neat stuff. This is another thing that I've never really heard of. So if you can, Machiel, introduce yourself to my audience and let them know what it is exactly that you do.
Well, I have been interested in dreams for a very long time, and especially since in my youth, I already had a lot of dreams, and then in my early 20s, I was stuck in my life, and by some good fortune, I came in touch with the works of Carl Jung, who worked with dreams, and so I started looking at my own dreams, and dreams started to come in and really help me reconnect with a sense of purpose, deal with issues that I had in my life. And I started noticing that dreams could really help and guide a person on their life journey. So ever since, I've been deeply grateful to the world of dream and its inhabitants for its support. And I have been exploring all kinds of ways to engage with dreaming in order to live in accordance with the larger mystery and figure out how can we best relate to the dream in order to trigger its creative support for our life. And that's where the sense of dream guidance comes from that I just wrote in this book and live my own life by. So that's in a nutshell.
So in that nutshell, and somewhere in that nutshell, you have figured out how to, I'm guessing, manipulate your own dreams or to become very aware of your own dreams.
Yes, and what I've noticed is that dreams spontaneously came to me with suggestions. Even my company, the Jung Platform, came out of a nighttime dream. And now years later, I'm still working on it, and it has been a vocational dream that has been really favorable. And I've seen that a lot of creative people get inspiration in their dream, or a piece of music, or a poem, or the twist for their book. And those are spontaneous, helpful dreams. And on a certain moment, I noticed that you could ask your dream a question before you go to bed, right, in order to get an answer to your question. And that is what I really started working out in this book, Dream Guidance. First, I tested it all on myself and then my environment, and then I studied all kinds of traditions that I noticed that stumbled upon the same phenomenon. And so dreams, you can ask your dream a question for anything that's relevant to your life, love or health or whatever is you're working on, and the dream is interested in helping and educating.
So what I think is going on here, when you're doing that, when you're asking a question for your dream, in the same way as I tell people when they're about to do some meditation, before they go into meditation, I tell them they should say out loud what they want from the meditation, and then that way they can get the message brought to them directly right at that moment that they need, instead of just waiting for something to happen. So is that basically what you're doing?
Yes, that has a lot of similarities to it. There are many ways that we can ask something, let's say the larger awareness, for insight or support or guidance or help in some form, and through meditation. And one of the functioning ingredients is setting the right intention, and create the right expectation. And you'll, as you know, in meditation, you'll get an answer, and the dreams seem to follow the same procedure, and a dream will give an answer to your intention and some other elements that are functioning well in that, but it's very similar.
Yeah, because as I tell people, in order to get clear messages, we have to have a clear mind. And that's what we're doing when we're meditating. At the same time, when we're about to fall into sleep, that's when our mind is starting to clear out because as people know, it's hard to actually fall asleep when their mind is racing all the time. But once they fall asleep, then they go into that clear sense of mind, and then and dreams come in. And then, as I tell people that too, as well with dreams, that sometimes if your life is too busy, if there's too much going on, and you can't seem to get yourself into meditation, you may actually get a message in a dream.
Yeah.
But some people, again, like myself, I've never even thought to try and control or manipulate my dreams. So how is it? How does the process go for you to do that?
Well, there's a couple of elements that are really important in it. And I can give a very quick example. Recently, I was working with someone who got just back in the dating life. And so he decided to ask the dream the question, what is my biggest obstacle in my dating life? And then he first identify a problem or an area you want to know something about. Then you make a clear question, some question that you also understand that the dream, if there's a story answer to it, that you think you will understand the dream answer. And then what I call step 3 is the ritual, and that is there's a lot of overlap with what you mean with you need to have a clear mind.
Yeah.
You wanna do an invitation to the other world, and if you just write down your question and you go to bed, that might just give the wrong energy or frequency or message. If you take some time and let the other side know, this is really important for me, I would love to be in a great relationship, it would be a blessing, I can be practicing self-love and loving someone else, and just create also a sense of why you want this, and you communicate that, and maybe you light a candle, or you make a drawing, or you create a heart from stones, something that thematically corresponds with your question, that sets you more up in strengthening that intention and expectation and focus. And those are elements that are really conducive to getting a good answer. And so then this person did all of that, went to bed, had a dream in which he was driving in a tunnel, and there was a car before him, and then he thought that he said, I think I see a mountain lion. I drive a little bit closer to it, and it's a tiger. When I know it's a tiger, I get really scared and I start backing up. So he wrote down the question of the dream answer, which is essential because we will forget the dream most of the time. It's because our short-term memory goes offline at night. And so you have to write down the dream, otherwise you forget it.
Sure.
And then he looked at what does this dream show in kind of a story form. He asked the question, what is happening? And he said, oh, I'm driving and I'm moving towards something, and then when I get scared, I see something that scares me and I back out.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I think that I know these areas in my dating life. When I get close, that I back out, and
Yeah.
so you could work on that. So that's in a nutshell the 5 steps and an example.
Yeah, and that's what I tell people sometimes, that when they are getting any type of message in a dream, they should absolutely write it down.
Yeah.
Because maybe it may not make sense at the time that you're writing it down, but if you're having one of those dreams that's consistent dream where it happens maybe every night or just periodically the same dream over and over again, there's something that I say our spirit guides are trying to tell us, and we're just not figuring it out. But if we write it down and we see a consistency in there, then maybe the message will come clearer to us as we read it and not just seeing it in our dreams. So how did all this, I'll go back a little backstory. How did all this begin for you? What made you to decide that you wanted to figure out what was going on in your dreams?
Well, that really started mainly when I was in my early 20s, when I was stuck. And I was somewhat depressed. I didn't know what to do with my future. I was smoking too much weed, was lethargic, and hadn't dealt well with some grief. So I was really doing nothing on my couch, but being very unhappy. And then I started having dreams that both showed me where I was in my life, almost like a psychological X-ray.
Sure.
And also that I noticed that the dreams are pointing out which direction it wants to grow. So the dream is not only a response to what happened today, but it also anticipates the future. And so sometimes you can ask, where does this character wants to grow, or what does this character want to do? And when I started aligning myself with these dream characters, I started getting moving again, and I quit my weed addictive behavior, and I finished school, and life started moving again, and it was so helpful. So that is really and then a lifelong pursuit and interest. I think there's this kind of a therapist, psychologist in me who just is fascinated by how does this work, and how does this dream world really works. And then I also really noticed that the dream is a world. You enter a world at night. So it's not a movie you watch, but it's really a world you're in. And in this world, you have spirit guides and ancestors and dream beings.
Yes.
And you can build relationships with them, and they continue to be with you during the day. So I think that dreaming is also active right now. And that world is coexist to this world, and we can build relationships. And once we do that, we feel more aligned and usually more in the flow of our own life.
Yeah, I agree, because if you're having the dream, some people have dreams that are very vivid dreams, and they wake up from it. Like my wife has very vivid dreams, to the point where she feels as though when she's in the dream, she's actually living another life.
Yeah.
And it's always this, to me, it's kind of crazy, but to her, excuse me, she's always living this life of almost like a secret spy type of thing, where she's always somewhere else, and she meets with a group of people, and then they send her off somewhere that she's supposed to go get some information. And she has these dreams all the time. It's just so often that there's got to be something to it. I don't know if it's something that she's doing in our regular life that's triggering this type of dream for her. She was in the military at one time for about 8 years. She was in the Navy and she was in the Air Force, but that's not what her job was in those types of facilitations. It's just now, whenever she has these dreams, she just tells me about it. And I mean, I have dreams, but she comes out and I'm sitting there for an hour because she's telling me the whole story of her dream. And I'm like, oh my goodness. I mean, that's just, crazy part is I'm never in her dreams, but because she's off doing the spy stuff, what am I going to do? I'm not going to spy around anybody. So I see here that you also mentioned triggers in that. So what are the triggers that you say, how to trigger the inner healer part of your dream? What can you do or what do people need to know are the triggers to learn how to be the inner healer of themselves?
Some of the things, just like you do with meditation, central point is having a clear intention. And creating some expectation. So I usually put that in a certain form of a ritual. But what it really is spend some focused, attentive time to engaging with the inner healer. Tell the inner healer what you want, and ask it for support, and treat it as if it is a respected friend / counselor that you're visiting. And maybe you go and walk, make a round around the house, and you find an object, and then you say, this is for you, healer, because then I know you're there and that we're in this together.
Yeah.
And so you talk to the healer, and you take some time, and sometimes it helps to, if it's really a healing question, to postpone it, to say, now maybe on Friday I want to ask you to bring me a dream, but between now and Friday I'm going to spend time in nurturing this relationship. And that pumps up your expectation. It shows dedication. It shows a heartfelt intent and interest, and that contributes to a favor. Sorry. That contributes to a favorable response from the inner healer, and we even can think about it in terms of the placebo. The placebo is something that works. It doesn't work by giving a person an innate substance or a sugar pill, but it works. And what are the ingredients in the placebo that makes the placebo work? And then we get back to belief in a good outcome, having the expectation that this will work.
We're going to believe it's going to work.
Yeah. And so the more you can pump that up for yourself, the better this process works.
Sure. Yeah, I get that. I know when I was younger, I was still in the dating world before I met my wife. Nothing was going right for me. I wasn't finding anybody good. And sometimes I would just say out loud, hey, how about if I have a dream tonight with some girls in bikinis tonight? That would be great, just so I can see something really good, because I haven't seen anything in such a while. And by golly, I mean, boom, there it is. You know, I wake up the next day, I was like, oh my God, that was awesome. How did that happen? But I never really did put two and two together to say, because I asked for it. Because nowadays, I tell people that when they're going to do in the same fashion in meditation, our spirit guides are there for us and they want to help us, but they want us to ask for help, and they want us to acknowledge the fact that we're actually knowing they are there and that we are asking for their help. And when we do that, then we will receive the help. So in the same vein, that's exactly what you're saying to do. Whoever it is on the other side in those dreams, may it be a spirit guide or someone else, a dream individual who's there, is going to help us, but they do want us to ask for their help. It's not, and like you say, setting the intention too. It's not just going, okay, I'm going to write this down. All right, produce this.
Right.
You know, you got to put something in it. You got to really want to do this, and let that build up inside of you, that you know, okay, I really want this. I really need this. Could you help me with this? Set that intention. So you will. So they believe that you're not only trying to trust them, but you're trusting yourself at the same time. Because that's when they want to bring a message to us, when they know that we're trying to do it for the right reasons.
Beautiful said. I have come to exactly the same insights by either studying this dream guidance or looking at cultures that ask their dream for guidance, that it works that way. And the old idea is also ask and you shall be given.
Yes.
it's also ask better questions and you get better answers.
Yes, yeah,
And so a lot hinges on getting a good question. And what I also pick up on what you say, and what I've also noticed is we should ask something that we couldn't figure out easily on ourselves.
right.
We need to ask something that we've exhausted our work. I've come to the place, gosh, I don't know how to find a good partner, or I constantly have the same problem. It's a blind spot for me. Spirit guide, I mean it, this is serious. I would love your help. And I think that asking has also to do with free will.
Yeah,
We have free will. We can do what we want. If we want to go left or right, they let us do it. But if we say, what does it look like for me to go this direction? Then they're like, oh, okay. Because you ask, I have an informed consent to help you.
yes. Yeah, and we do need that. We need to know that, or they need to know that it's okay with us.
Yeah.
We are asking for their guidance. Again, I mean, we are brought messages a lot of times. We are brought messages in our own thoughts. We get thousands and thousands of thoughts every day, but we don't act on them all. But sometimes, like you said, some people will go to sleep in dreams and wake up with a new idea on how to do something. And my thought to that is I tell people, you know, Nikola Tesla didn't just go to sleep and wake up one day and go, oh, I know how to do this. I absolutely tell people he got a message. There's just you know, no way that they just thought it of themselves. And when I tell people you're thinking of something, especially with spirit guides, your spirit guides are connecting with you, and they connect with your soul, and that's what gets your body to do things. I mean, your brain only makes the little parts work, that's all. But they come in with an idea when you wake up in the morning and you have an idea, oh, I need to go to the mall today, then that is your spirit guide who is helping you to make that decision. And they want you to listen and they want you to follow through. What they don't want you to do is talk yourself out of these things, because these are things that you're supposed to be doing throughout your day, but we don't always listen. So, and with that same intention setting, that's what they are trying to do with us, I believe, in our dreams as well. Because I tell people, when you are in that dream state, whenever you're dreaming, that's the closest you're ever going to be to heaven, or what we would consider to be heaven. Your soul will rise up out of your body. It still stays tethered to your body, but because it's out of your body, out of that racing mind all the time, or racing, you know, tensed up self, now it's able to rise up a little and be separate from that. And then that's when all these messages can come in from people who have possibly passed away, or just other spirit guides are coming in to help you. That's when we're going to be our clearest and able to get these messages. So why not try to work that as much as you can? Especially, like I always tell people, there's a trick to a certain thing that I tell them that I know of, that when you're dreaming, when you're having a dream and someone is in your dream who has passed away that you know, in order for them to actually connect with you and be in your dream, they actually have to be right next to your soul, connecting with your soul. So I tell people all the time, if you want to see your mom or dad who has passed away and you want to see them physically again, all you have to do is, I know this breaks your kind of thing here, but I tell them, wake yourself up out of your dream, because the moment that you wake yourself up out of your dream, you're going to see that person who has passed away right next to you, because they're always standing right next to you in order for them to connect with you. And I know that cuts off what you do, but some people do want to see their relative.
Of course. And I think also dreaming is one form of the other world. So I think an out-of-body experience is a different other world experience, or an NDE. And they're more or less, these worlds are more or less constructed in the same way. And and sometimes the deceased can come in a dream, or if you really want to focus on it, you might even see it in here, but you need to really relax, and it's really difficult because this world is so dense.
Isn't it? Yeah, yeah, this world is dense, along with some people. But that's different. So how is it you develop rituals to engage your soul? Tell my audience about how you do that.
Well, there's several ways, but one is just a spontaneous see what comes up. So I like to light a candle. So it's like today I did light a candle before we start. I veer a little bit Mpepu. I was born in South Africa. That's an herb that the local healers, the Sangoma, use. So I burn a little bit of that for the invitation for soul to be present. And then I just see what else comes up in me. Maybe I want to say soul. I talk to it, or make a drawing, or I make certain movements, or find something that like I have here a red stone that I use to let them know. If I look at the stone, I think about you, ancestors.
Right.
Those are ways. And what I noticed is that a lot of cultures have prescribed rituals, like you need to do step 1, 2, and 3. But all these cultures have different rituals. And I think what's really the working ingredient is that you do something with intention, with focus, with awareness. And you can use an existing ritual, but you can also do whatever comes up for you, because it's your relationship to your soul.
Right. Everyone's different.
Yeah.
And trying, I guess, also at the same time, trying to keep some consistency as well when you're doing each ritual. Do it the same way all the time. As like when people always ask me, how do I meditate, or how do I get into a meditative state?
Yeah.
I used to have to say, I would say out loud the word empty like 10 times out loud, and then say it in my mind 10 times, and then eventually that would clear my mind out. But it would take much longer to get into that meditative state. Whereas one time I went for a massage, and masseuse put on this music, and when I laid down and closed my eyes, I was in immediately, and I was like, what is that? And I asked her about it, and she said, oh, this is called binaural beats. And she said, I get it from YouTube. And I was like, really? I said, so I wrote myself a message on my messenger for that. And then when I got home to try it, I put it on my YouTube, I put it on my phone, put it on my little Bluetooth speaker. And then what I thought to do was I stuck it in the corner of the room. That way, the music itself would just engulf and resonate throughout the room, and then engulf me at the same time. And it works. And then, boom, I'm in, and then I'm relaxed a lot quicker. And that's the way that I do it continuously all the time. I know it has, like you said, it has to work differently for everybody, because I tried to do the guided meditation. And I'm 55 years old. I can't picture myself climbing up a freaking tree, because I'm just 55 years old. Who wants to do that at 55? Nobody does. So I don't want to walk up steps, because I look at steps now and go, oh no, I got to walk up steps. So you have to find the way that's going to work for you, and it's not going to be the same for every single person. So,
but is it great that people could try the neural beats or whatever and figure it out?
Yeah, and that's what they got to do to figure it out. And you have to want to. You have to really want to do it. You can't just go, oh, this isn't going to work for me, and then you quit.
No, be a bit push a little bit, and also know that in my experience, the other side doesn't mind if you make a mistake or this doesn't work. There's no harm in that. Just play, experiment, find your way, and then great, stick with it as long as it works. And if it stops working, you try something else.
Yes, absolutely, and just try to keep up with it, because in this society, unfortunately, people want a quick fix. They want to be able to get it right away. And if they can't give it right away, they give up on it right away.
Yeah, I see that also with this dream guidance, that they ask a question, but sometimes a really big question, like, what is my purpose in life? All right, that's a huge question. And maybe you need to start a little bit smaller and then work yourself to figuring it out, because maybe the dream doesn't want to tell you right away, but you would be better off asking, what should I focus upon right now, so that you get on the way and puzzle. And if I see this technique not working, well, it's sometimes because people think, oh, I just wanted to have a one-time dream answer and be done with it. And it's more like, yeah, most of the time it's a journey. Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, why would you just want to figure out one dream? I mean, because we have so many dreams, or why would you want to figure out just one issue in your life with that when we have so many issues in life?
Right.
If we could figure them all out, then life wouldn't be so bad. We wouldn't be worried about, being worried all day or being stressed all day, because we would learn to let those things go.
Yeah, and those would be great questions. How can I develop more confidence? Well, the one dream will give you a bit of a direction, but then you have to implement it. And then maybe 2 weeks or 4 weeks later, you would say, is there anything else I can do to build up confidence? And then you're on a journey. And but you have to also work in the meantime, because the spirit guide is not interested in just making you codependent.
Right. Yeah. Just like getting yourself some on-the-job training. You learn how to do part of the job, and then once you have got that part down, then you ask about something else, and then you ask until you've actually completed where you could just go around and do it without having anyone else to tell you what to do. Although with our lives themselves, we get so many different dreams. We get so many different things going on in our lives. As I tell people, if life was meant to be easy, what would be the point of living? If you were given everything in your life, then you wouldn't appreciate anything that you do have. So we're always working, we're always learning throughout our lives. So why not have a little bit of guidance throughout our entire lives, learning these things, so we don't feel as though we're alone doing this by ourselves?
Well, I think that's a beautiful point, that either meditation in which you connect with a spirit guide, or in dream work, that you learn that you're almost the front man in this larger enterprise, supported by ancestors and spirit guides, and what a difference does that give in a life if you know, hey, I'm not alone, or I'm going in this meeting that I find really scary, but with this boss or whatever, and I feel that grandpa is with me, or spirit guide that can sense the presence, and now we're going in together.
Yeah, the only issue with that is people don't want spirit guides. They want the president of the company, or what we call God, giving them an answer. But God sends these spirit guides for us, so he doesn't have to answer every single person all the time, and they can help us more on a personal level. But people just they don't seem to get that point. They're always seeming to ask for something. As I tell them, prayer is not for asking for more than you're supposed to have. Prayer is for giving thanks for what you do have. And people want, I want to win the lottery. I want to win $1 million. Well, the point of winning the lottery is not getting the $1 million. It's what you do with it. And if you think you're just going to win that $1 million just out of your own vanity, just so you can have just much nicer things, supposedly, then it's not going to work out for you the way that you intended it. Because again, you're not doing it for the good reasons or the right reasons. You're just wanting to do it out of your own egotistical ways.
And I think you point there to, if when you asked what are ingredients that make this work, is this intention and the reason why you want something.
Right.
And if I've seen that people ask questions that are not really, that look like they're not aligned with their soul's purpose.
Right.
Then the dream is not interested in helping.
Right.
it is not like the genie in Aladdin that gives whatever.
Yes, yeah. It sees through to the ego part of it, saying, okay, oh, they only want this because they want some power or some control over other people.
Yeah, and that's often not good for a person, and so they don't do it. Or if I ask, I tested all kinds of questions. So I asked once, what did my neighbor have for dinner? Well, the dream is not answering that.
Yeah, who's gonna ask that, or who's gonna answer that? Because it's not something that's going to help you in the long run, what they just ate for dinner, right?
Right, has nothing to do with my purpose. So questions that have to do with that are emotionally relevant, which could even include like, hey, I've been looking for a fun partner for a long time. I haven't met anyone. Then the dream is willing to provide a little bit of joy along the way,
Right.
by giving some tantalizing figures in your dream. But they have to do with your emotional life. They're relevant to your life path. That is where the dream, the spirit guides, and the dream seems to conspire to help you.
Yeah, that's what I tell people with spirit guides. Spirit guides are not here to fix your life. They're here to help us ease us through our lives the best the way that they can. It's up to us to fix our lives, but again, the only way we can do that is by being proactive about it. We can't just ask them. And people ask those crazy questions. Well, I thought they were like these magical beings that are going to come down and help us. Well, they will, but you have to ask the right questions. You can't just go, okay, fix this for me. It's not going to work that way. They want you to be a part of it as well. They're going to give you some help and some guidance, some answers, but they want you to actually do the work for it. And you can't just say, okay, because it's not magic. It's not a magic trick by any means. It's just, but this is a union between you and your spirit guides and the dream individuals themselves trying to help you. But the only way they're going to help you is by you trying to help yourself.
I love that you have come to the same conclusion. And that's also why I spent in my book 3 chapters on how do you develop the right question?
Right.
Because it all hinges on asking the right question. If you ask, fix this for me, then it doesn't work. And then you come back, hey, Machiel, it didn't work, or it doesn't work for me. What did you ask? Yeah, fix this. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
No. So I went to great lengths to help people identify what is relevant to them, and then how can you phrase that in the best way. And then actually the third part is how do you pump up that ritual in a way that really communicates and invites the other part to come in. Those are the elements that make dream guidance or meditation or any communication probably with spirit guides effective.
Yeah, and exactly in the way that you said, you're inviting them to come in. You're asking them to come in. You're not just throwing it out there. Hey, I want you to fix this for me. No, they want to know that you're going to be a part of it, and they want to know that you are not just setting the intention, but you will have some involvement in it. This is what you want to do, and you're willing to take the steps in order to do that. And they will show you step by step, but you have to want to do this. You can't just go, okay, I want to go fix this for me so I can go work on something else. No.
Get me a Ferrari.
Yeah, no, no, there are some people out in this world. I'm not in this belief that you need 6 cars and 7 houses and 10 boats, and and all those cars need to be Ferraris. No, they don't. The wants and needs that are out there are just are screwed up. But the only reason it's screwed up like that is because the world and society has taught us that this is what we need to have.
Yeah. And I studied the Greek tradition a lot, where where this dream guidance was also a big part of their healing tradition. And their form of the spirit guide is called the daimon, not to be confused with the demon in later Christianity.
Right.
And they had a word for happiness or flourishing. There was eudaimonia, and that means when you and your spirit guide are seen together, then you're happy, then you flourish.
Right.
So when people seek real happiness and peace of mind, is actually when we align with the spirit guides.
Yes.
And not the temporary joy of having the Ferrari or being on having the second house. Yeah, it's not the deep satisfaction that we are really after, and that doesn't make it bad. I mean, it would be great to have a Ferrari if it was part of my life journey, but happiness comes from being connected with the spirit guide.
Yeah, you'll find more happiness within yourself than you will with some just tangible item that you think is going to fix you. That's not going to fix you. The only thing that's going to fix you is you.
Yeah.
I know about this stuff because what I do for a living is I'm a medium. I'm a spirit medium, so I see dead people, but I'm in contact with my spirit guides all the time. Never turns off. No, it never goes away. They put thoughts into my mind all the time. My own thoughts are no longer even me anymore. I'm only like 15% me, and the other 85% is that they touch my face for yes and no answers, and I'm in communication with them all the time. So I see them all the time and feel them and hear them and everything. And I try to guide people in this sense, but I've never tried to do what you do, which is I try to tell them with the meditation part, and then, like I said, I try to tell them that when they're having dreams to write these things down. But you are taking this to a whole nother level, I see, and a level that I have not thought of myself to try to do, but because I focus on a wide range already, but I myself have not truly understood. I understand some parts of the dreams and why we have them, and some people tell me dreams, and I try to decipher them for them. But you have taken this to a whole 100, or I'd say a 360 turn on everything, complete spin on it, which is awesome because people need that. Because I find so many people who want to find out what their dreams are all about, what the interpretation, or why we're having them at all. So you mentioned here there's a 5-step method to effectively guidance from the dreams. So can you explain that?
Yes, that is step one is that you identify that you have something that you want to ask. And we all are living all kinds of questions. And as we talked about, one of the tricks is really identifying the most pressing question. And if we have multiple questions, we can then write down multiple questions, but really turn inward and see what wants to step forward. We can even ask ourselves what question wants to be asked.
Yes.
And then just write down whatever comes. And
absolutely.
And go with the first one. Then the second part is phrase that question in an optimal way. So maybe you have a problem and you want it to be fixed, so that you don't say fix this, but ask a question as how can I solve this problem? How can I fix this problem? So the way you phrase the question is step 2. Make sure that it's an open-ended question. Think through if there's a dream response to your question, how would you be able to understand it? Step 3 is engage in what I call the ritual. Do something nice for the dream. Tell it how important it is. Step 4 is go to bed and sleep and try to rest well. And then step 5 is write down the dream, because otherwise it's gone. And then work it. Sometimes it makes sense quickly. Sometimes later in the day. Sometimes you speak to someone who says just the right thing, or you share the dream and they say, oh, have you thought about this? Or there's some synchronistic event. The answer will come to you. And just don't give up if it doesn't immediately make sense. And one little tip I can give for people is, very often we ask the question, what does this mean? And that's a great question. But another question that doesn't require a lot of training is what is happening in the dream? And like the example of, oh, I see a tiger, I get scared, I back up. Oh, what is happening is you see something that you're afraid of, and when you're afraid, your response is backing off.
Right.
Okay, then you have a dynamic, and then you don't need to know what tiger is or tunnel or car and whatever. You look at the dynamic, and then you figure out, is this something I have in my life, or does this dynamic point to what I should enact or do in my life? And that way, a lot of people can start working with their dreams without needing to study all kinds of dream symbol books to decipher what the dream exactly means.
Yeah, what do you think of those things, of all the dream symbol books out there?
Well,
yeah, I can see an answer coming out there because you would have mentioned it. Yeah, but yeah.
Symbols are not fixed. I've
Right.
traveled to Greece, where they have snakes in the temple, the healing temple, who are healing figures. So they tell me snakes are healers. If I go to some parts of Christianity, the snake is the devil.
Right.
So snake seems to be not one fixed character, and some people are afraid for a spider, and other people have met a horse, always wanted to have a horse, and the next person was bitten by the horse. Then the dream being of horse will represent something different.
Right.
So there is something to say, to look at what do horses mean generally in fairy tales and mythologies, but also how do I relate to horse? And this might be my specific dream horse that might not have nothing to do with when a horse comes in your dream.
Yeah, absolutely. With like your friend who saw the tiger, my thing about that is we get taught so much fear in our lives about everything, and we have to try to get around that, or get away from that. It's more important to be smart instead of just being fearful of everything. We don't necessarily have to back away from everything. We learn how to deal with it. I'm not saying you should walk up and just say, "Hey, Mr. Tiger," because he might bite you, but it doesn't mean you necessarily have to run away either, because at the same time, when you're running away from it, then you're causing yourself to be more of an attention. You could just walk up and see the tiger and go, "Oh, okay, well, let me just back away slowly and walk the other way," instead of making a quick reaction, which is going to cause another reaction within yourself. Again, keeping that fear within you. And I think we need to try to steer ourselves away from that, and try to teach ourselves a little bit better. Because the whole thing with Christianity, and again, that's a lot of fear tactics right there, trying to all they want to tell you to do is how to live your life the way they want you to live it, and give them 10% at the same time. And how did they know about 10% back then? Because the people who wrote that stuff were kings and queens, the people who were in power of everybody. So that's a bunch of bull crap right there. That whole book, just.
Well, but that is also why you try to help people connect with their own spirit guide.
Yeah.
And you don't need someone a book to tell you how to live life, or some priest that tells you what to do. You have your own spirit guides who know exactly who you are and what you're meant to become and why you're here. Yeah. And they can help you, and that is the real connection to build and nurture.
Yeah, and I tell people all the time, as far as like with the purpose in life, and your purpose is not necessarily for you to become a doctor or a lawyer. You will fulfill your purpose just by doing one thing, by being human. And our purpose in life is we are here to help each other just for the sake of helping, not just because you can, but just because we should, but in a physical way. Someone's going to come up to you and say, "Hey, excuse me, I'm lost. Can you help me?" And it's up to you, again, to use what we were just talking about, free will, to decide whether or not you're going to do that. And if you're one of those people who just doesn't follow trying to help people, or doesn't care about anyone else, or is not trying to ask spirit guides for anything and just thinks, oh, life is all about me and I don't care about anybody else, well, then, great, that's for you. But things aren't going to work out so well for you as much as you think they are. We do need to ask each other in this world for help. And sometimes we can't always get it from the people who are here. So why not get it from the ones who have already left, because they're trying to help us as well.
Yeah.
But we have to learn to listen to that, and we have to learn to follow through with it. And that's the biggest issue. And especially with what you're talking about is listening to what they say, but also following through with what they're telling us to do.
Yes. And I also say somewhere in the book, asking a question is for only half asking the question. The other part is listening to the answer.
Yes.
And that is writing the dream down and try to puzzle on it. And even if you have a dream that you understand nothing about, take one element and make a drawing and say, thank you, dream. I don't think I completely got it, but I'm grateful anyway. And maybe tonight you can dumb it down a little bit for me.
Yeah. That's my whole life. So dumb it down for me so I can understand a little more. And even though I didn't understand it the first time, doesn't mean I'm going to dismiss it. I'm going to try to, if it's that pretty complex, maybe that's something I really need to pay attention to. And try to figure it out without exactly just dismissing it, because we do have lots of strange dreams in this world, and some people really do want to figure them out. But I get from a lot of people, they just say, "Oh, it's just a dream. It was nothing." It's never nothing. You're being brought this for some particular reason. You just need to figure it out. Because I tell people there's that saying, God helps those that help themselves. Well, not really. Yes and no. What he wants us to do is he wants us to figure it out for ourselves. He wants us to try to figure things out, but he also is going to offer us help at the same time. But again, it's a team effort. He's bringing us help, and then we have to try to figure it out as well. We can't just expect him to do everything, or them to do everything for us. We have to do this ourselves as well.
Yeah. Well, beautiful. I write somewhere a paragraph in the book about dream work is teamwork.
Yeah, absolutely. Boom. Yeah, absolutely. So tell my audience where they can get your book. I have your websites here and your links and stuff, and we will put that in the show. But they want to hear it from you. So tell them where they can find you.
So the title of the book is Dream Guidance, Connecting to Your Soul Through Dream Incubation. Yet if you type in Dream Guidance in Amazon or Barnes and Nobles, you will find it. There's an ebook, there's an audio book, and there's the hard copy. There's a website called Book Depository, where you can purchase the book and it will deliver the book to you wherever you are in the world for free.
Wow,
so if you
cool.
live, it's super cool. So if you live somewhere where Amazon isn't yet, they deliver it as well. And on my website, there are several other bookstores. I think it's in every Barnes and Noble in the physical store in the US. And I think that visit my website and you can and you will be able to find the book.
Yeah, well, I know one thing, you're very easy to find, because earlier I was going to go on Google, because again, like I said, I didn't want to mispronounce your name, but I just put in your first name, and when I did, the first thing come up was you.
Yes, there's not that.
Yeah, the whole thing. I was like, wow, he's right there. Okay, but it didn't tell me how to pronounce his name. but still, I mean, that's how fast it worked. I put in your first name, and your whole name came up, and it showed a picture of you, and I was like, well, that was pretty cool. That's awesome. I mean, yeah, and the same thing with like you said with that other place where you can get the book. Because I know Amazon is not everywhere. I just put my book out like maybe 3.5 weeks ago, something like that. And someone who I know was trying to find my book, and they couldn't find it on Amazon, but they finally found it later. And And so I sell my book for like $8 because I'm not trying to make a gazillion dollars, but I sure would like to help a gazillion people. But she finally found it on Amazon, and for her to buy it where she was in Australia, it cost $4 more. And I was like, that's kind of strange. Yeah, I know I'm not getting any of that $4, but yeah, I only get $2 from the book because of Amazon. But yeah, trying to find other avenues to do this as well, because it's not always easy. But yeah, so and so they can find it. So do you have you also have a website as well, correct? Or just a regular website?
Yeah, so that's my first and last name, machielklerk.com, MACHIELKLERK.com. And there you can find more about me and the dream work I do and the mental health therapy I do, and a little bit about my business adventures. I started at Jung Platform, an online organization where we provide depth psychological and spiritual perspectives on Jungian work or shamanic work, and it's like working how to work with your shadow or with your dreams or with synchronicity and the tarot. And that's on Jung Platform, JUNG platform.com. And we have also several free programs there if people just want to get a taste of it.
Oh, that's awesome! Wow. Well, obviously you're getting around pretty good. That's a good thing. At least you're not just doing one thing, putting all your eggs in one basket. You're actually trying to spread this as much as you can, which is awesome, because that's what people need to be able to find out this information without just having to give up on one search. And you're trying to do it in many different ways, and that's an awesome thing to do. Well, I'm glad I was able to have you on my show. This was very not just entertaining, but very informative. Informative first and entertaining second, because I learned a lot. I'm actually can't wait to put this episode out so I can listen to it again. I know my wife's going to enjoy doing it because she does all the editing, and she's going to say, hey, he has some really good ideas I need to work on. I'm going to say, yeah, you should. So again, I appreciate your time, and I appreciate you coming on the show. And is there any last words of advice that you would like to give everyone before you leave?
Well, I want to thank you for the great conversation. It was a delight to spend time with you. And I want to just encourage people to play, test, experiment, write down a question. If they don't have a question, ask something as, what is one thing I can do to love myself more deeply? It's a beautiful question we all can benefit usually from that. And enjoy it. And I wish people guiding dreams.
Yes, me too. Yes. And I hope, like you said, I hope they learn to listen. And as I always tell them all the time, listen and follow through. That's the key to everything. And the more you do that, the better things are going to turn out. Yeah. So again, thank you. I appreciate you for coming on. I'm going to try to get this right. Machiel Klerk. Is that close?
Beautiful.
Awesome, man. Oh, awesome. Not such a dipshit. Awesome. All right. And I just want to thank everybody for coming on the show today, for hanging out and listening to Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson, me. And as I tell everybody all the time, be good and don't do any stupid shit. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
This was Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson with Machiel Klerk in Harnessing the Wisdom of Your Dreams. Subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss any episodes. For more information about our guest, visit his website at machielklerk.com. His book is now available at major book retailers. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson.